To most people, polar regions are frozen areas furthest from the equator, places most people would never venture to. But there are some who have the endurance and spirit of adventure needed to reach the North and South Poles. Robert Swan is one such polar explorer, environmental leader, and the first person ever to have walked to the North and South Poles.
20 years ago, I walked to the North Pole and South Pole, perhaps stupid enough to do that. And on those expeditions, I saw 20 years ago ice caps melting, climate change, global warming. And for 20 years, I've been trying to inspire, especially young people and industry and business, that we've gone past the inconvenient truth. We've got to now look at the convenient solutions. We've got to do something. And this expedition this year is about taking some marvellous people down to Antarctica, seeing our education station that's only run off renewable energy. We're attempting, through Stuart and his team, to have that education station sending signals out all about renewable energy for the next year, all live, powered by renewable energy from Antarctica. The message is, if we can do it there, why can't we do it here?
Despite the dangers of the Antarctic, scientists find it very important to study these ecosystems. And in 2007, scientists at NASA released the most detailed map of Antarctica ever. The map will help scientists plan and carry out expeditions on the notoriously difficult terrain. NASA Chief Scientist Robin Bin Chandler said the map represents a 10-fold improvement over previous Antarctic imagery databases.
It does show Antarctica in true color. And I think that depiction is probably most important for the public, because the public is a very large customer of this data set. We had them in mind when we put this data set together, because in our future, we have to be better stewards of this planet. The climate of our world is changing no more faster than in the polar regions. Most people have never been to Antarctica, yet Lima is a way that we can bring Antarctica to them. Anybody with a computer and a web connection can now travel to Antarctica in a virtual sense.
Polar regions experience the most dramatic climate change of any areas of the world. A good example of this is the melting of polar ice caps and glaciers. Adventurers have been exploring Arctic regions for hundreds of years, and civilizations have long lived north of the Arctic Circle. In 1909, Robert Peary of the US Navy was the first person to reach the North Pole. However, new evidence is showing he might have missed the North Pole by over 50 miles. Amundsen, the great Norwegian explorer, was the first person to go through the north of Canada, through the Great Northwest Passage by ship. He also was one of the first people to fly over the North Pole, but this was first accomplished by Admiral Richard Byrd in 1926. The modern era of North Polar exploration saw the nuclear-powered submarine Nautilus reach the North Pole underwater in 1958. In 1978, the Japanese explorer Naomi Imura reached the North Pole using sled dogs, becoming the first person to make a solo journey to the pole and back safely. More important was the Soviet Union's nuclear-powered icebreaker, Arctica, which reached the North Pole in 1977, the first ship to make it all the way to the pole. With climate change and the food web under pressure due to a reduction in sea ice cover, the wildlife of the Arctic faces their own challenges. For centuries, the icy areas at each end of the Earth have challenged explorers. Many brave adventurers have risked their lives, and some have lost them, investigating the frigid regions of the Arctic and Antarctic.